Hello and welcome to another daily. Been doing a lot of lives and wanted to record this video um, late evening here to go over a couple of things, summarize a few things that are going on, talk about what United are expected to do next in the window. Bryan Mbeumo deal, as we know, done. I'm going to cover some of the details on that, why it was such a big deal for United to get it done now, why they had so much focus on it, and why they were willing to pay pretty handsome price at the end of the day. Then we'll talk about striker, goalkeeper, and a few other things. So first and foremost, really simple here. Bryan Mbeumo deal done at 65 million plus 6 million in add-ons. He will have his medical today when this video is published, Saturday and on Sunday. These medicals are sometimes done over two parts over a couple of days. The squad obviously away in Sweden today for the first preseason game. So make sure to come catch me on Big Up to watch that. I think this will be out before then. At the same time, then he'll be able to be essentially announced, throw some things together, the pictures, the handshakes, the contract signings, everything. Idea, get him on the plane so that he can join the US tour. That way, Ruben Amorim has two top forwards in place for the tour, two really accomplished players. Now, that's what I want to look at first is why Mbeumo and why the front three has been such a focus to getting two big players in makes such a huge deal. So let's take a look at some information here from what we went over on Bryan Mbeumo in the past and just why United wanted him so badly and just what United are getting, because you can forget 20 goals, 7 assists in the season, 17 big chances created, 70 chances created. That made for fourth in the league. There, he was the highest in expected assists in the league. Now, when I made this way back beginning of June, we were thinking 50 to 55 million. Obviously, in the end, United have paid 65 million on the fee, upfront and guaranteed, higher than we thought it would be. At the same time, in the space of during all of this, the market has essentially dictated pretty much a higher price, which I think is why in the end everybody's okay with it. You have Kudus, Ilanga, Gittins, Madueke, and João Pedro all going for similar prices. Most, if not all of them, I don't think any of them got anywhere close to his numbers in that respect. I think maybe 18 goals and assists was the highest of all of those players. So Bryan Mbeumo, not just a goal scorer, but somebody who also creates chances on chances on chances and does a lot with it. Um, United's forwards, even with Ahmad and Bruno, when you add Cunha and Mbeumo to it, it goes from 10 goals to 35, 5 assists to 13. I'm talking about games when Bruno was in the front three. 8 big chances created to 33 from the front. 60 chances created to 121. Massive upgrade on performance. Now, I made this chart a long time ago talking about Cunha, talking about Mbeumo, talking about some of the forwards that we're looking at. This was about how many shots they take per 90, how many goals per shots on target. So we can see Mbeumo here. We saw Cunha on this side. Unbelievable shooter last season. High shots per game, high goals per shot. Bryan Mbeumo, less volume shooting, but a very efficient shooter, a real quality finisher. So a really good goal scorer. Um, and then I had done these charts about how we don't get the ball to the forwards being a bit of a myth. When you look at the attacking pen touches versus production, this is how many touches players had in the attacking penalty area. Garnacho significantly more than Mbeumo and Cunha, who both had similarly only about half the touches in the penalty area that Garnacho did. Meanwhile, they had an extremely high number of goals plus assists plus key passes per 90. So that's chances created, goals and assists. You can see their their production per touch was exceptional. Very efficient players. Ahmad in a good bracket there as well. And when you look at progressive passes versus received, they all receive fewer progressive passes, but are able to still create a lot. And I'd like to have Ahmad in this example because he played for United. You can see that it is possible to be very productive without having as many touches if you're a very efficient player. That's what Ahmad brings. That's what Mbeumo brings. They're all really good in that respect. So we've got players that are all, in my opinion, like Ahmad in terms of quality. Different things, but they bring that type of Ahmad quality. Um, I don't need to go necessarily over all of this. He does. Mbeumo's a bit more of an outlet than Cunha, who tends to drop a bit deeper. Mbeumo tends to run forward. Great dribbler, good on the turn, top class finisher. A bit more of a final third specialist. So I think while he is going to Cunha is going to add quite a lot to the way that we play. In general, uh, Mbeumo will maybe be a bit more dynamic and a bit more dangerous, specifically in the final third. If we come back to this just one more time, um, two of the most productive wingers behind Salah, when you combine uh, Mbeumo and Cunha, fifth and eighth in their goals. Um, when you look at what is it, expected assists as well, and Mbeumo just ahead of Bruno Fernandes. So really, really productive players, um, and again doing a lot. Now I got to add to this, and this is really important, and of course we'll get into this in a second. One of the really important things that I saw when I looked into the Mbeumo situation, well, is that while he does score a lot of goals and he creates a lot of chances, United are massively upgraded. I'll show you in a second why that is, and already the impact that I think it's going to have on us. Stable. A lot of Mbeumo's qualities and chance creation need a striker. Need somebody in the box as a focal point, somebody reaching those crosses. He puts a lot of in-swingers in, gets a lot of good balls into the box, creates a lot of chances for a good striker who can position themselves properly in the attacking area, rise for headers, things like that. Something Wissa did really well for him over there in combination. And to be clear, Cunha is the same. In fact, you may not realize this, but there were only two teams in the Premier League that had two players in the top 10 of goals. And that was Wolves with Cunha and Strand Larsen, and Brentford with Mbeumo and Wissa. So both Cunha and Mbeumo are really good at not only scoring a lot of goals themselves, but creating for their striker. They need a striker in there to receive it. But let's look at a few other stats here. There you go. Again, last season, 11 Premier League goals. The rest of the team had 27. As a point when I did this, I think it went up like 6 total goals over the season, maybe 1 or 2 from the forwards, 3 or 4 from the rest of the team. From the time I'd made this back then to the end of the season, but again, it was the second worst in the entire league from the front three, and goals equals points for the most part. So when I made that comparison, United were below all of these teams, right? This was the rest of the bottom 10. Sultan, Leicester, Ipswich, all relegated, obviously. West Ham, Wolves, Everton, Palace, Brentford. United were below all of them, but they were ahead of them in terms of the goals scored by the rest of their team. They had the second worst output from their front three, but they had the fifth best output from the rest of the team. If you just take the upgrades from Mbeumo and Cunha, take the penalties out, then United are looking at, realistically, even if they didn't get a striker, Brentford actually had a really good front three, but United would probably add 15 to 20 goals to the team, just in general. And so it was a must. This was always the same thing for me. We have to get two proven goal scorers. There you go. Had Cunha and Mbeumo basically written down, obviously, but we needed at least two. Three would be much better. Again, for the purposes of the squad dynamic, bringing in somebody who can put together, get on the end of those crosses and all of that. It's pretty clear to me when you look at last season and look at the numbers that, let me share it real quick while I'm doing this. I forgot to put this on the screen. There we go. When you look at it sorted by goals, it's pretty much the table. There's a couple outliers here, Brentford and Tottenham being the main one, but part, more goals equals good, less goals equals bad. Most of the bottom finished down here in terms of goals. Most of the bottom of the league was in that order. United only scored 44 goals at the end. If they can add, that 11 goals, that just with Mbeumo and Cunha takes it up another 15. Well, then United are in the mix here. You're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're in the 8, 9 bracket. And that's why I feel with Cunha and Mbeumo, United could climb into 7th or 8th. They could be competitive in that position. You can see that the goals against is not quite as much of a marker in terms of goals against. There's United were not terrible in that respect. And the defense will probably improve next year. So if they improved on the goals, you could expect to see them a bit higher, in the table, even regardless of that. So big impact, big difference. But if United can get 15 goals out of a striker instead of 3 to 5, that extra 10 goals is realistically what propels them from being in this bracket to competing in this bracket, where you're talking about they can push into that top 5, 6 range from a goal scoring standpoint, that they have that. And that's why they need a striker. And that is the focal point for the team after Brian and Mbeumo. Mbeumo done in going on the tour. Next thing United want to sign is a striker. Um, that's what they're going for right now. Now, a couple of pieces of information on this that, as my understanding of the present right now, it has not been decided what United are going to do on the striker front, but they have evaluated a number of names. Number one, we know Ollie Watkins. That situation has been evaluated. Number two, Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea. That situation has been evaluated. They've looked at that. Now, I think these are the two main names to keep an eye on at this point in time, because both clubs are interested in Alejandro Garnacho. There is the potential for some kind of deal being made on this front that solves it, because United must sell in order to get a. They have to get something out the door, something significant out the door, and Garnacho potentially provides a ready-made solution that allows them to pursue another striker after that. And for both of those clubs could provide a solution, a player they might want, that we could get something back from them. So those are two names to keep in mind. Other names that have definitely been evaluated, um, in Mateta as well, have been looked at as options, though Mateta seemingly has cooled quite a bit. Benjamin Šeško, there's been a long-standing interest in him. There's a lot of reports recently, but as of yet, United have not made any kind of move for Benjamin Šeško. Just a player they've been following for a long time. A lot of the stuff right now, I think, is coming from his side after a failed Arsenal. Obviously, should the Victor Gyökeres and Arsenal deal collapse, United would remain attentive to it, but extremely unlikely at this point. Don't mean to get involved and give anybody hope on on that front. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Then there's names like that have been offered to us: Gonzalo Ramos, Vlahovic, Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy. Like, you're getting down into names that have been offered. You got to think of it like, in an ideal world, probably thinking Watkins or Jackson that they would go for. Then you're talking like a Moise Kean, or maybe Mateta, talking like a Šeško. Really hard to do, very expensive, not necessarily the ideal fit, big risk involved, and you're going down, down, down in terms of priorities down. So, but it hasn't been decided. They have explored the conditions on all of this. Haven't Mbeumo done? They have to sell to buy. And so at this point in time, they're in a situation wherein um, they have to be open to things as they're trying to sell players. If Chelsea make a move in for Garnacho, or Villa make a move for Garnacho, they have to be willing to look at that and say, hey, we can make a move here. Can we get one of those players on a good deal the other way? That's what they will consider. That's what they'll think about. And that's what they're going to be um, next. Now, in addition to that, I want to say I want to move on to the goalkeeper thing, because this remains a topic. I know ideally as well, United be looking at midfielders, center backs too. But I spoke about goalkeepers today, yesterday rather, in the live. Been talking about goalkeepers for months. There was an interesting thing that did happen there, where there was Romano says that City are coming back in for James Trafford. Now, I've spoken a lot about James Trafford, and it's really funny because one of the reasons that I kind of stopped talking about it and went off of it is way back when United played City, because we know Newcastle been involved for a long time. But when United played City, it was my understanding that his representative held talks with both clubs at that time. and had indicated kind of to City, because City were saying, hey, at that time, 3-4 months ago, Ederson might leave. Would you be interested coming back as the number one? It's something that might come up as a scenario this summer. He was interested in that, more interested in that than what United could offer him. And so United kind of stepped back from it. And that's why it hasn't been a huge subject of discussion for me, because essentially it wasn't one where the player was going to prioritize us and he'd kind of be waiting for that potential City move, which now Newcastle are finding out they might get gazumped for yet another signing of as he goes to so if he does go to City. But United have been in the market for a striker, and this is another area, a goalkeeper, excuse me, where it's just not decided. The main names that we've talked about in the past: Lamens, Victor, Vanya, and then there's a story on Emi Martinez. Now, I've shared many times my thoughts on the Emi Martinez thing. A lot of it's being pushed by his agent. Doesn't mean United aren't interested, but there hasn't actually been any move to sign him as of yet. Vanya, I think, is done now to Napoli or going somewhere else. So that one's probably off the table. John Victor, another option one. But they haven't decided yet whether they're going to go, or we've talked about this in the past, get that young prospect or get an older keeper to hold the line. Now, given that Vitek is not there, seemingly he looks like he's going to be sold. Interest from the championship, interest from elsewhere as well, or doesn't seem to be having a place in the team. They still want a keeper, but it isn't totally figured out yet. This one could take a little bit. The inclination is that they don't want to have a player like Emi Martinez and Onana in the same team, because it's a lot of wages and a lot of costs that are unnecessary to have two keepers at the same time. So there's been maybe a lean towards like a Lamens as being someone that they go for, a young prospect type who could come in, given that Onana is likely to stay. However, it was an interesting piece of news that Fabrizio Romano also said this evening, reporting this about United. Now, people, I think, misreading this as well. He said they were considering maybe we do a swap deal with Aston Villa. Maybe we offer players to Aston Villa so that we don't have to spend money, so we have more money for striker to solve this. Now, if we were able to get Emi Martinez in, while maybe getting some extra money or moving players on that we don't want at this point, well, then that helps us add to the striker budget potentially. And in that case, they might be okay with having both Emi Martinez and Onana. But I think that's somewhat unlikely. The more lately kind of thinking has been to not necessarily want to have Emi Martinez and Onana in this. Again, it doesn't really make sense. A lot of wages and things being paid for two keepers doesn't really seem to make sense to me. This is up in the air, and frankly, I don't know what they're gonna do yet. I really don't. I don't think they've decided. I think they're just, now is when we go back to that agile, corporate lingo with United. They have to be agile. If there's a way to shift players to Aston Villa, aside from the Garnacho thing, if there's a way to shift other players to Aston Villa that get them Emmy, that where they can solve the keeper thing and move some players off, they probably be willing. What if they want to offer Emi Martinez for Garnacho and they're willing to give us cash too, but they don't want to sell us Watkins? That might be okay. If we can then shift Garnacho, solve the keeper, get extra cash on the books, and then we can go get a striker too from somewhere else, fair enough. That might work too. So we've got to keep this all in mind. But if we can straight sell Garnacho with a positive PSR, move some other players, then perhaps going straight for Lamens is the right thing. If we can't do much, then maybe going real cheap, older, someone like John Victor would be as well the route that they would go. But there's really no talks on this as of yet. It hasn't advanced as of yet. Same with the striker. Just hasn't been decided. United about to go on the tour. I think certain decisions will, again, the sales is going to be a big thing. While they're gone, while those players are back home, they're going to hope these and look for these sales to accelerate. Anthony's agents are in Sevilla today discussing that, seeing if they can get him as moved. The rumors keep swirling around Sancho and Juventus, but nothing substantial as of yet. Garnacho thing remains a topic. A little more talk about Chelsea, a little more talk about Villa in the last week. But these are the things that need to happen. United are willing to be flexible in this respect to see if they can get who they want in the window. So I think the intention fully is still to get a striker probably a goalkeeper and ideally another, at least another maybe midfielder coming in as well. But now is where this is a moving game. This is everything is changing based on sales, based on what offers come in, what come out, because they need money to get deals done. Doesn't mean our targets are necessarily changing, but they're going to be very flexible in what decision to make on those targets based on this because of this sale aspect. I'll hope to find out more on this now that we've finished at Mbeumo. Now they're going off to preseason. I'll definitely be doing digging over the next week to find out when the decision gets made, when we make the next step. We definitely have been assessing the Nicholas Jackson thing recently on Striker. Definitely been assessing that. That's why I brought it up last week. Just one to keep in mind. Couple small things otherwise that I wanted to discuss, talking about the squad traveling to the game today. Some interesting names included. Um, obviously we see at keepers, Fredrickson, Reese Monroe, Bukonki, and Diego Leon all included in there. In the midfield, Jack Fletcher, Sekou Kone, Toby Collier, and Bendito Mentato and Ethan Line. A few players like Shea Lacey and such left out. Morehouse may go on loan. Shea Lacey, just a simple matter of he's just not ready to play senior football yet. That's totally fine. Needs a bit more time at the under 21s. That. Um, I want to make a special note. Obviously, Bendito Mentado I've been really excited about for a while. A player that hopefully will be involved in this season to a degree, even if it's under 21s, getting some chances here or there. Didn't get a debut last year. Didn't really make the squad last year, but highly rated. A very exciting young player that has been training at wingback, according to Laurie Whitwell. I find these two interesting because to me these are the best two midfielders at the academy in Fletcher and Kone, most ready, I should say, at this point in time to maybe make the step up into the first team. Now they may neither be ready, but I believe that this is an indication they're going to get a chance. Enzo Canabiak only already went on loan. Some other players already going on loan. If Kone was going to go out to Lausanne, you would think they could have done it already. So getting an implication here that perhaps Sekou Kone and Jack Fletcher will have a chance to nail down a spot or to prove that they should stick around so that they can get some chances over the course of the season. First team, we will see there, but I think that's encouraging that they may get that shot. We've seen some of Fredrickson, Reese Monroe, and Kukonki probably going to be with the youth, but we have a lot of center backs, so seeing them get a chance at least in preseason too. Fredrickson maybe plays, maybe he goes alone as well. And one more thing to mention on this that is important, which is really interesting, and it's the Harry Amas and Diego Leon thing. Harry Amas is left out of the United squad. Looks like he's going to go on loan and play matches elsewhere. Basically, Leon has impressed a lot in training, looks physically ready, looks up to it. Not fully decided yet because they want to, but the assessment is basically he's really good. He's raw, got some really good tools, and he develop into a player that can nail a position down this season. But he's impressed enough that Harry Amos is going on loan. So I think that that's pretty telling of how they rate Diego Leon already so far in signing him, that he's a good shot at being with the first team and will get his chance over preseason, which is what he wanted. So I've heard a lot of really good things since he's arrived. Very raw player, but give it some time. Give it some time and we'll if he can get in there. So some exciting stuff there. Big ones to watch in terms of the young players making that step up appear to be Leon, Mentato, Fletcher, Kone, and a couple of those young center backs. Can some of them make a place in this team during the course of the season? Can they make an impression in preseason? They will get that shot under Ruben Amram. Let's see what they do. And then last funny thing here, just wanted to share the first chat voted starting 11 for tomorrow based on players available, bearing in mind that Joshua Xerxes is not available for the game today. Neither, of course, is Mbeumo. Neither, of course, is Onana. But this was the team that they picked, basically, that they'd like to see. And obviously, when Xerxes is healthy, they'd like to see Xerxes play. When Mbeumo's in, they'd like to see Mbeumo in here, whatever with the keeper at this point in time. But this is essentially what the chat what the community seems to rate right now as obviously the best team given the options available. I was surprised by a couple things, but I get it. So we'll see what we see in today's game, and obviously over preseason we should hopefully see Xerxes and Mbeumo come in. One of the main reasons they ran it like this is that we wanted to see, rather than moving Bruno or Ahmad up, was we really want to see Ruben Amorim play players where they're going to be. With signing Mbeumo, with going for a striker, it's obvious Ahmad, Bruno are going to play here. It, let's have them play there from the start of preseason so we can do and they can find that feel in that position. That's what I've got for today. Thanks for watching this video. Enjoy the game. I'll be live later. Wanted to get this out early or late, depending on where you are. Yeah, just get everybody up to speed. Been a little bit since I've just made a video. What's next? Sales, striker, goalkeeper. A lot of balls in the air on this, and the decisions are a lot less clear as of yet as to what we're going to do, as opposed to where we were before, where it was like Mbeumo was being pursued, all of that. Right now, slightly unknown, but United have to remain agile market as well. All right, have a good one, everybody, and remember to come join me on Big Up. Hope to see you there through the season. Hope United have a good first pre-season. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. See you in the next one.